It is difficult to believe that the murder of Renee Good was not enough for a universal call for ICE to be abolished and the thugs who have carried out their cruelty on our country be prosecuted for their crimes. But MAGA does not have any morality, and it's why it is so surprising to me that the murder, the state execution of Alex Preddy has a Fox host screaming at Republicans on air and implicating Donald Trump and his entire administration. Maria Bartiromo stunned me this morning with the approach that she took to her interview with James Comer, shouting him down, snapping on him, and calling out the cruelty and crimes of this administration. But it is not the only marked shift we are seeing after the murder we witnessed yesterday, because Democrats who were previously willing to fund ICE are telling a different story today. And before we get to what Maria Bartiromo said to James Comer and how she humiliated Donald Trump on Fox, I want to start with that announcement of how Democrats are finally fighting back from Adam Schiff.
And what, if any, role can Congress play? Obviously, the government could partially shut down again on Friday if Democrats vote against this DHS funding measure. My question for you, Senator, are you prepared to vote against DHS funding if it means partially shutting down the government? Again, coming on the heels of an incredibly long shutdown.
Well, I'm not giving ICE or Border Patrol another dime, given how these agencies are operating. Democrats are not going to fund that. The government will shut down if Republicans insist that that be joined with other government funding. It will be a Republican decision. They understand we're not going to go along with this. And we hope some of the Republicans in the Senate may see those scenes in the streets and be as repelled as we are and vote against that continuation of violence also. But if they don't, it will be their decision whether they couple that funding for these ICE agents and Border Patrol agents with all these other government agencies. They will make the decision. They're in the majority if they want to shut down the government so they can perpetuate this violence. But I'm not going to be a part of it. And I think anyone who votes to give them more money to do this will share in the responsibility and see more American cities, more Americans die in our cities as a result.
The fact that it took a second life being lost at the hands of ICE for our Democratic Party to realize what we have been saying, what people across the country, more importantly, what people in Minneapolis have been saying, what they've been feeling, for them to actually fight like those brave protesters have. And the fact that it took so long to get the National Guard into Minneapolis to protect these protesters is insanity. There is no reason why Democrats on Capitol Hill can't have the same level of bravery simply taking votes as people in Minneapolis do, and people who have traveled the country to go to Minneapolis, putting their bodies and their lives on the line. It is crazy to me that we cannot get the same level of bravery out of Democrats, or we haven't been able to get that out of journalists until now. It is a marked shift. Listen to Jonathan Karl grilling Scott Bessent, something we usually don't see before we get to Maria Bartiromo.
I think that there are a lot of paid agitators who are ginning things up, and the governor has not done a good job at tamping this down.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, he was an ICU nurse, worked for the Veterans Administration, and there's no evidence that he brandished the gun whatsoever. In fact,
but he brought a gun. He brought a gun. Have you ever gone to a protest, Jonathan?
I mean, we do have a Second Amendment in this country that...
Jonathan, have you ever gone to a protest?
I mean...
have you gone to a protest?
I mean, no, actually, as a reporter covering it...
okay, I've been to a protest. Yeah. Guess what? I didn't bring a gun. I brought a billboard.
Okay. Secretary Bessent, thank you for joining us. Coming up, we'll have the latest...
This is a real shift. This is a complete change. I have not seen pushback like this from journalists to the Trump administration officials who are always on the Sunday shows lying. I just don't see it. And you especially do not see it on the Fox propaganda outlet, which is why I am so surprised at the tone Maria Bartiromo took, and good for her, and just ripping apart James Comer.
Another individual is dead at the hands of Border Patrol. Let's be clear. We do not know if there was any pushback from this individual who was armed. We do not have evidence that he was waving a gun, doing anything to threaten Border Patrol. He had his phone, and he was shooting, he was viewing and recording the incident. That's what he was doing, recording the incident. Mm-hmm. What is your reaction? And you are an elected official. What can you do about it?
Well, look, I don't think there's any question the majority of Americans want President Trump and ICE to go in and apprehend the criminal illegals. That's what President Trump campaigned on, and he's doing exactly what he said.
The shift in tone, the difference in approach is very clear. Maria Bartiromo is, I would say, a little bit better of a Fox host than others. That is saying a lot. The bar is very low. Her and Brett Baer certainly aren't, Jesse Waters and Laura Ingraham. There are moments in which she will push back against Donald Trump. We saw that when she was questioning rising prices and tariffs in an interview with Trump at Davos. But this tone is completely different. She has clearly been rocked by the events of yesterday. I don't know how you could watch 6 men wrestle an innocent, he wasn't just innocent. Like, Alex Preddy wasn't just innocent and shot on the street, but he was taking heroic action, right? It's not just that he was being a bystander and they decided to tackle him. He was trying to keep a woman safe, and they took his life as he was protecting her. Not to say that it makes any difference in what situation someone's life is stolen from them, but he was actively performing a heroic defense of a woman who was being maced, who was being bear sprayed in her eyes for simply walking around. He was a hero. He was a patriot. He was exercising his rights. And, I had this conversation with Graham Plattner yesterday, and I hope y'all have checked it out. And if you haven't, I'm going to link it. But we kind of talked about and wrestled with who we can convince. Right? There's so many people who have justified their politics with, well, my Second Amendment, my Second Amendment, my Second Amendment. Students slaughtered day after day in schools, and it's my Second Amendment, Second Amendment. Charlie Kirk, who lost his life to gun violence, literally said, well, a few gun deaths a year. We just got to accept it to keep the Second Amendment. And so those people who are so adamant about protections for the arms that they own and that they bear in public legally, when they do legally, like Alex Preddy, who had a lawful permit to carry his weapon, and he wasn't brandishing it, he wasn't taking it out, he wasn't reaching for it. Those people can be shifted. We can change those minds. Now, there are some people who have just used that trope as a justification for not wanting to take action. Of course, they don't believe in responding to government tyranny. If they did, they wouldn't be the just comply dudes. Just comply, the federal government, we got to trust the government. These are people who wouldn't trust scientists telling them, hey, maybe don't breathe into each other's mouths when we're in the worst pandemic in a century. Maybe take some time and stay inside and pop on a mask if you're in the supermarket because we want to keep people safe. That wasn't the government or the deep state. That was science. And they said, we can't trust it. We can't trust the vaccine. I'll happily kill my grandma because you're not going to be able to, to control me. This is tyranny. And now it's, well, we got to trust the government when they say the VA nurse was a domestic terrorist, brandishing his weapon, reaching for his weapon, when it's on fucking video. And so that's a real shift for Maria Bartiromo. And it tells me that there are people who express that sentiment, a worry about government overreach, a worry about this totalitarian state, who see not just what the Trump administration is doing, but the lies they're telling about how dangerous it is to just have a gun in public. Well, you can't have a gun, because what if ICE gets scared? And that's one of the bullshit lines they've been telling us, one of the bullshit lines they've been feeding us. Well, these ICE agents, you got to announce that you have a gun. At the same time as they also said someone was shouting gun, gun, gun. And so they stole Alex Preddy's life. They murdered him because someone said gun. So you both have to announce your gun, but if someone says gun, ICE is in danger and so they shoot you. Or you don't say anything about your gun, and because you didn't announce it, they shoot you for existing with a weapon. It doesn't make any sense. And people who are real good faith actors and who do care about these issues, and I don't want to give all the credit in the world to Maria Bartiromo, still a Fox host, but the tone she took with James Comer, that was a market shift. That was different. She is clearly pissed off. And anyone who actually does care about these issues, anyone who has believed what they've said about protecting their Second Amendment rights, they should be pissed. They should be snapping on Republicans. They should be screaming at Trump. They should be saying that his ICE agents committed a crime in murdering this man, executing him in cold blood, and then clapping and running away. One man clapped, an ICE thug clapped. He did, walking away from the murder that they ran away from because they're pussies. So yeah, anyone who does believe in their Second Amendment right and wants it guarded from government overreach should see this and be furious. And that is why the tone that Maria Bartiromo has taken, which, believe you me, a lot of people tuning into Fox this morning, and she had a similar tone with Kash Patel, that's going to go far. That means something. It really does. I really do believe that means something. I believe this is a shift. I believe this is a moment. Democrats need to capitalize on it. We need to shut down the government over this. We have all the leverage. Not only are they killing you out in the street, and they're trying to strip away your First and Second Amendment rights, but they're doing so with thugs that they pay by stealing your health care. Where did this money come from for the 5th largest standing military in the world? The budget that ICE has is ballooning. Where did that money come from? From stripping your healthcare, from closing rural hospitals, from letting 50,000 plus Americans die. And that's not even counting the Americans who are going to die because of ICE. That is a message, and Democrats need to use it. We have all the leverage here. We have all the leverage. If even the hosts at Fox are pissed off, you better believe there's enough Republicans. There's certainly enough independents. And every Democrat should be on board with this. Every single Democrat. And Democrats like Tom Suozzi, who voted for DHS, who voted for that funding, and I posted that clip on Twitter of him responding to a reporter, questioning why he thought it was the right decision to vote to let DHS run wild. He said, read my statement, read my statement. I put out a lengthy statement. Fuck your statement and fuck you. Tom Suozzi has admitted before to not even reading the bills that he votes for, but just listening to lobbyists and doing what they tell him. He's a special interest Democrat. He's a corporate Democrat. He's not a real progressive Democrat. And you don't even have to be a full-fledged progressive like the type of Democrats that I support to actually be a fighter. You can believe in things, right? There's a lot of corporate Democrats in the Senate who realize the moment that we're in and will actually fight, and I appreciate that. You don't have to share my exact politics. I'd like you to, as long as you're willing to fight the fascists. Now, it does usually take a progressive to want to actually fight the fascists and not kind of fall in line with the status quo and what the donors want and what makes them comfortable, and let's not get too crazy. But to say, well, read my statement, read my statement. Oh, I put out a statement. What? That doesn't mean anything. And what's funny to me is I imagine the response that Suozzi's going to give. Well, you know, maybe if someone asked him, I'm sure he would say, well, you know, I regret that vote now. Oh, now you regret it? After the second death? One death. Oh, ICE, one death. An innocent woman's going to get killed. But two, that's where I draw the line. It should be zero. That's where you should draw the line. No people dead in our streets. I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. We got to get rid of these people. We got to primary them. We got to push them out of our party. They will not keep you safe. I'm going to call it out on the show. I hate to say this. Shout out Maria Bartiromo today. Holding the shit down. My God. That's the type of tone that we need from everybody. I'm surprised we got it from Fox. And you know we're going to bring that tone here. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.